Right.
Right.
And then hopefully by the magic of this thing, we're going to share a presentation. So here goes with that as well.
We're good. Let's do it.
Always good.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay.
Good health. Here you go.
Can we see some slides now?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, well, fantastic to have so many people here. I think that's just taken us to past the 100 mark. So first of all, just to declare a bit of finger crossing on my behalf, and thank you to our decision makers in the Rucksack Club for a quick response. I got a bit worried midweek that we might exceed 100 people because that's the limit on my my account, and I hated the idea of people having to sit outside and not get in. So we upped it to 500 on the off chance, and here you all are. So fantastic, welcome. And basically the idea is just it's a slideshow, but it's also a social. So just so nice to see so many people. Sorry I can't be with you in Blighty. Obviously I'm here in California in the meadow at El Cap, but I'm sure it's very nice where you are as well. And this is a story of, as it says there, episode 10 of Bill and Dom's Excellent Adventures. This is 18 months ago, when all we had to worry about was not getting killed on El Cap rather than succumbing to hideous viruses back at home. So simpler times. Now, obviously El Cap's been in the news a lot in the last 3 or 4 years, mostly thanks to these two guys. So just to be clear, we didn't climb El Cap in 2 hours. We didn't do it solo, obviously. Arguably, Bill had to drag me up, so actually that was more of an achievement. And equally, we didn't spend 7 years sketching out the hardest possible route up its walls. So we're not Tommy and Alex. We're just a couple of fairly regular climbers who happen to quite enjoy messing around on that same playground.
Same belly button, Dom.
Yeah, well, the same basically six-pack. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. They're not drinking beer. That's the difference.
Yeah.
There's possibly a message there. Anyway, this is a story of us going up there. Still the same bit of hill though, and over a few years now, Bill and I have done a bunch of routes in El Cap. So those are the various lines we've climbed. The red ones we both climbed. Bill's one ahead of me because he's also climbed Mescalito, which is the orangey coloured rascal there. But it's pretty apparent there was some untouched territory. It's a big bit of rock, and there's probably about half a mile between that orange line and the next red line, which is Tangerine Trip. And it obviously needed a bit of visiting. So that's what we plan to do. And if you can see there, this kind of black shape in the rock, to the passing glance, looks a bit like the continent of North America. And therefore, it's called North America Wall. So that's the story. And the route we went to do was actually the route called North America Wall, which works its way up pretty much the west coast of North America, and we'll come on to some of these amazing features of rock that we'll cover over the next hour, and for us it was the next 5 days. So there we go, that was our plan. So Bill, tell us a bit about the history of North America Wall.
Right, can everybody hear me all right?
How do we turn the volume up?
Well, I think you've got a knob on the side of your computer, haven't you? Anyway, there you go. For those that can't hear me, just follow the lady on my side who's doing the sign language version of this. So yeah, he's only brought me along because I can put some historical context to it, because I was actually on this earth when the first ascent was done. Yeah, 1964, blinking heck. Third route on El Cap, and Robbins had already done one of the other two. He was a bit of a purist, was our Royal. He was very, very competitive, but had this ethos that everything had to be done in as pure a style as possible. And that, if that meant having to traverse one way for 100 foot, go up 4 foot and traverse the other way back for another 100 foot, that's what he did. He just didn't want to just nail up or bolt up some feature just for the quickest way up. Amazing team. It was Robbins' idea, obviously, but he had a strong team with him. He had Tom Frost, he had Yvonne Chenard and Chuck Pratt. I mean, in one way or another, I've come into contact with all of these people. I've actually used a frost knot when I was aid climbing in the 60s. I've bought a very expensive T-shirt in one of the Patagonia shops. I've shaken Royal Robbins' hand in Camp 4. That was an achievement. And obviously, I've made a complete prat of myself on many, many occasions. So this was it. This was the guys, 1964. This was no siege tactics. This was an adventure. This was no fixed ropes. It was ground up. It was balls out. And I just wanted to go and see what these lads were up to all that time ago. Okay, Dom.
So this is the typical Blue and Dom's Excellent Adventures packing scene outside the front porch. All the paraphernalia that we need to get ourselves sorted out. And we'll talk a bit more about the gear that we used and contrast it with the gear that the first ascensionists used in a bit. But that was packing. And we planned the trip about 8 weeks in advance, maybe. And as the day of the departure neared, the situation in California started to look more complicated. So I'm sure if you cast your minds back 18 months, you had this thing called the Ferguson fire going on. Biggest wildfire in American history, killed many people, wiped out communities, hundreds of thousands of acres of land. And basically the valley was shut right on the day of our departure. It had been shut for about 6 or 8 weeks, I think. But there were suggestions that it would be opening on the Tuesday after the Sunday we arrived. So we cracked on various backup plans, but we thought, well, we'll just rock up there and see what happens. Driving into the valley, it was signposted for miles. You had no access, Yosemite closed, road closed ahead. So I don't know if you, quite a few of you I know have been there. This is the road where going straight ahead will take you down into the valley, and turning left takes you up towards Tuolumne. And so our plan was to head up to Tuolumne for a day, 2 days, a few days, and do a route up there, get ourselves dialed in, and then wait for the valley to open. So this was our route of choice. It makes the North America 50 classic climbs anthology. It's the south face of, he says, Bill.
Fairview Dome.
Fairly, just testing.
Yeah.
And it takes a cracking line up here. You can see a kind of big corner here. It's about a dozen pitches. Gets easier towards the top though. So we rocked up there, having phoned in previous night, and climbed this thing in fairly short order. It's about kind of E1-ish, about 1,000 foot or something, I guess.
Yeah, Sess has done this, you know.
That's not to say it's not a tricky route, cheeky. This is probably the most photogenic pitch. It's kind of long, slabby corner. And there's the top. Amazing views over the High Sierra. Here's me looking happy and Bill looking grumpy, which is pretty much, that's more or less default positions. But we've got to go on.
I'm happy. That's my happy face.
And literally, we were less than 24 hours off the plane at this point, having driven 6 hours to Yosemite and climbed a 1,000-foot route. So we thought things were looking pretty okay. Now Next day we had another route, equally interesting, but it pissed down up there. So we thought, no, we'll crack on down into the valley, which was due to open that very day.
She sat next to him on the bloody seat.
So we made a plan, Bill.
We did indeed, Don. We did indeed. That's the plan. We always do these things on the back of pieces of paper that we pick up somewhere. Well, it was a great plan, but it kind of it changed a bit, and Dominic, I think, will probably elucidate on why that plan changed. I've no idea what the PTO was, by the way. I think it must have been the.
It was a shopping list on the back. I think it was on the back. It said, "Take lots of beer."
That'll be it.
Yeah,
that'll be it.
So, like most plans,
it plan here, Dom, as well, haven't we?
That is the second plan. Yeah, second draft.
Plan B. This. Yeah.
I think we ended up with about Plan D or E or F by the end of it. Yeah. Like most plans, it didn't survive the first encounter with the enemy.
Yes, it was an ambitious plan.
It was ambitious, yeah. So heading down into the valley, all pretty smoky still, as you can see. Really, really dense smoke from the fires that were just coming under control. But sure enough, there was El Cap in all its glory, and not a person on it. That's the thing. Checking into Camp 4 was a bit surreal. Normally, those of you who've been, it's a bit of a lottery. You get up at 4 in the morning. You hope if you get the right place in the queue, you might get on. Otherwise, you come back the next day. We walked straight on. It was about a quarter full, maybe a sixth full. So very peaceful. Bit of a fire going. Next morning, really quiet. Nobody around. And it's off to work.
Is that the first case? That first case tonight?
Yes. Sounds like it.
First day's plan was head in and fix the first 4 pitches of North America wall. So fixing, basically, the idea is that you climb with enough rope that you can get back down to the ground, get as far as you can with the rope you've got, come back down, go and have a decent kit, pizza, shower, etc., and then you head off up into the great unknown the next day. So that was our plan for the first day, to fix 4 pitches. We got the topo. Depending which topo you read, it's either C3 this or C4, and we'll come on to a bit what that means. We thought it was more like C4.
Yeah.
The C4 is a later version, and it depends on how much fixed gear there is around, and there was less fixed gear when we did it. So Bill, what does this A4 and C4, what does that mean?
Well, if we leave this slide long enough, I mean, people will just read it and understand.
They could do that. They could do that.
You know, just to sort of praise the whole thing, A is like aid climbing. For those of you who remember aid climbing, all them étriers and stuff like that, and banging pitons in and stuff. And anyway, that's what aid climbing is. And C is clean. All clean. That's when you're using, well, it's clean aid. Not clean. It's clean aid. It's kind of putting nuts in or hand placing stuff or not using the hammer, basically. That's what C is. And then it goes from like A to 5, A1 to A5. It's a bit like all these arguments they have about all these E grades and stuff like that. You can talk about it endlessly, but I won't. And then F, if you get F, you need some fixed gear in place to get yourself up there. Otherwise, you take a clipstick, which is what we did. It's a very, very handy thing because it saves a lot of time. There are things like, well, we'll talk about it later, Don, won't we? Copperhead.
We'll talk about it later. Like we will.
We will, won't we? Yeah. Well, that's the difference, really. Aid climbing is like if you're my age, you'll be pegging the plum, big plum in Cheadale. I don't know. Yeah, C. What can I think of C? C is trying to do London Wall and and failing. And F is when your mate leaves all the gear in London Wall and you just pull on it. I think that's about that. Yeah.
That's thereabouts. And then
Yeah.
the numbers are basically how likely you are to die. So
I didn't want to mention that in the current climate, Dominic.
sorry. So when you fall off, it's how far you're likely to go, basically. And the bigger number is a further way. So that's the topper we were working on for the start of North America Wall. So, you know, pretty obvious, 3 parallel cracks, bit of a roof, Bob's your uncle. So working our way on the bottom of the crag, here we go. 1, 2, 3 parallel cracks, bit of a roof, and there I am on my way. It's probably also worth pointing out here that Bill and I have this system where we swap leads each pitch. Yeah, more or less you get what life throws at you really in terms of that. And we had a completely random discussion the very first day where I started the first pitch of that route we just talked about. So that's how we ended up doing the pitches we did. It's a bit of a Russian roulette kind of thing. In fact, there's grizzly pitches on both leads, but that's more or less the way it works.
Well, that's his version anyway.
Oh, that's why I'm supreme cunning planning bastard who manages to get all the numbers lined up. Not that would ever happen. So here we go. It's probably been 3 years since we last climbed at this point. And so, you know, fairly slow going to start with, getting the system dialed and getting back into it. Great weather, it's cleared up now, you can see. So now I am jugging probably pitch 3, I would guess. And you can see some of the old fixed crappiness that we're pulling on. So these are typically aluminium heads that have been bashed in sometime in the ancient past and may or may not hold body weight. And as we're going, we're thinking, this topo's not up to much. I mean, you know, it showed the 3 cracks, but that 180-foot pitch was more like 150. And there were 3 bolts on the belay, not 2 bolts. But, you know, like you do, you kind of make it fit. Until we got to the point where we could no longer make it fit. So my 4th pitch was supposed to be arriving at this unmistakable massive roof with a huge, hideous, gaping cleft up its side, which I cunningly accidentally befell to be Bill's pitch. Yeah. Well, there was no sign of a roof or a cleft or anything. And I finally had to admit and shout down to Bill, we're on the wrong route here, mate. Which was pretty heartbreaking because we were a bit tired. We'd done some really quite tricky climbing, and it was all for nothing, basically. So we ended up bailing, getting dark by this stage, and back down to Camp 4 and consult the topo a bit more closely. Well, it turns out we weren't very far wrong, in as much as here's the, can you see the mouse on the screen there? Here's the unmistakable roof of North America Wall, route number 29 on your hymn books. And we'd done the first 4 pictures of route number 28, which is Sea of Dreams, which is actually the first 3 pictures are quite similar in grade. They're mostly A3 pitches, but goes on to be somewhat harder than North America Wall. So including this traversal here called the hook or book traverse, which is if you fail when you're hooking, you book a fast trip to the afterlife, basically, is the thinking there. So we're lucky we didn't press on, basically. So for the want of being about 50 meters out, we'd wasted a day. But on the plus side, we were...
No days are wasted.
Correct.
We brushed up on our aid technique.
We did.
Big positive.
We were fully brushed.
Yep.
So the next day, we found the even more unmistakable triple cracks with the even more unmistakable roof. And sure enough, yeah, we were back on track, albeit the plan had to be redrawn a little bit. And we were dialed in and we were moving faster. Here's Bill with his amazing Technicolor etriers, fine style. Here he is jugging You can see one or two bits of ancient rivets and stuff that you're clipping into on the way. Fine views down towards cathedral spires. And then a much more satisfactory beer back in Camp 4. We'd done 4 pitches of the right route. We were a bit tired, but we were good to go. And we kind of resolved to go the next day and make a start properly.
I'm very, very concerned, obviously, Dominic, with that fire. We didn't want to start another Ferguson fire, did we?
We did not, no, we did not. We even had time to invent the game of Snickle, which is a bit like Scrabble, but played with a box of Snickers miniature bars. You'll see it has somewhat limited options in terms of words. You use the little Milky Ways as bonus letters, so you can kind of get away with a bit more variety. But that was our distraction. We're working on a miniature version, so we can take it up the hill next time.
What a sad pair.
So next day we were packing, and then we realised, we stuffed up by doing the wrong route for a day, but we've made an even more beginner and more fundamental error. In Bill's over-exuberance to celebrate our successful day, he'd broken into the wall stash of beer. Witness,
that is a smile, by the way.
The missing beer. Yes.
Yeah.
So we had to go shopping, obviously, because again, tradition dictates that you have a beer a night each and a beer for the top. That's pretty much essential.
That wasn't the only pack of beer, I've got to say.
No. But you also get a feel for the rest of the food and stuff we were taking up. So fairly carefully laid out food for 4 days, 5 at a push.
Yeah. A very big bag of tea bags, you see there.
Don't. We'll come back to that. So this was the gear that the first Ascensionists had. Bill.
Yeah. Imagine lugging that lot up, Christ. But that's what they had back in the day, as they say. I mean, all them bombs down there, all drilled out just to reduce a bit of weight. But even so, that is major stuff. I think I read somewhere, that's 200 pounds worth of stuff. And the leader might have a lot of that on him. I mean, the Super Topo gear thing you get. I'm not counted all those pegs, but the Super Topo says something like, 4 of this and 1 of them and 2 of those. But this is our rack because we've got the advantage of cams. Amazing. And also offset cams, which are just brilliant, because when everybody was banging away with pitons on El Cap, they were just making the cracks, the flared cracks, even more flared. And you try and put conventional gear in, like nuts and stuff like that. Sometimes it works, sometimes they don't. Offset cams, unbelievable. Just I can't think. What did we take? What was the biggest thing we took, Don?
That purple josser, probably about a 3.5.
Yeah.
We didn't have much big stuff at all, really.
No, it was a lot less weight to carry, and again, I just go back to 1964 and think, those guys were heroes. They really were. I mean, I got some stuff here, and I don't know whether this is the time to show it, Dominic. What do you think?
Yeah, go on. Yeah,
go on.
Dangle your bits.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, we use quite a lot of what they call cam hooks, and there's a cam hook. And what that means, you see how I've got it in profile, I think there. What you do with that, you just stick the end of that into a crack and put your weight on it, and it holds. Unbelievable. Well, it holds most of the time. So it just enables you to move so much faster. And like I said, you're using a lot of fixed gear anyway.
Still on.
Hello? Something gone wrong?
I'll just mute Mr. Rhodes there.
Oh, okay, right, okay. And of course, instead of all those pegs and bombs and stuff like that, we've got cams, we've got the cam hooks, we've got these little things. Must be like Jeremy Oliver then for a minute, you lovely people. Keep cooking and climb on. These are beaks and peckers, and what you do, you put these in at the bottom of the pin scarf, and they are phenomenal. Again, it's all about speed these days. The other stuff, lots of jingle jangles, lots of where are they now? Yeah, hooks. People call these sky hooks. Come in various sizes. Ideal for just putting on little edges, moving up. The only problem is once you've used them, they tend to fall off. But anyway, you fasten to you somewhere really. Dominic.
That's the idea. Despite having
we can't say that, can you?
Despite having kind of fetched a whole bit of stuff to the crag, we've still had some heavy loads to take in. So this is basically the team going up. The two of us, two decent sized haul bags, and the portal edge. That was where we're going, and that's the view of probably the first 1,000 foot anyway that we're heading up into. And you can see that the ropes we put in place the previous day dangling down the bottom 400 foot of that. So job one was to get those bags 400 foot up, which involves quite a lot of effort. So our aim for the first night was this thing called Mazatlan Ledge, which here's the unmistakable roof that we should have arrived at the previous first trip. It obviously wasn't there when we got there. And then we had a plan to hopefully do this in with 4 nights on the wall. So we packed food and beer accordingly. How do you get all that weight up then, Big Hill? So probably we had about 100 kilos hauling, I should think, maybe 80 to 100, somewhere like that.
Yeah.
So for the first time we came up, or we used the kind of a 3-in-1 pulley system. Normally what we do is one of us would haul the ropes and the other one would actually be on the other end of the rope to counterweight the bags. Problem with that is that you end up waiting a long time for the second person to arrive to help you do the counterweighting. So if you want a masterclass in 3-in-1 hauling, I'll do it offline at Hub when we're back on air. So here is that hideous crack that we should have arrived at on our first day. And by some trick of the random dice of nature, it was Bill's lead because he's good at cracks.
Yeah.
Look at that as a for rascal.
There you go.
How was it, Bill?
Well, it was awkward, but the knack is on these awkward pitches is, whilst it's awkward for you, you've got to make it as easy as you can for the guy who's coming up behind you. And on these kind of pitches, you can very, very easily get the ropes, shall we say, snagged. So what you got to do, I don't know whether you with your cursor, Dominic, you can put that there.
There we go.
What you got to do there, that's where the rope's going to get stuck. You put a big nut there, and so the rope runs over this really shiny nut and saves your mate a lot of hassle. And once you're over the top, of course, it becomes a cruise.
And you get to the next dance and you can enjoy the first. Cheers!
It's nearly a smile.
So there we are, day one, good kip, and we're off again. Next morning, that is tea, not beer. Portal edge being put away, and time to press on. So there's a view down to Bill as I work up the next pitch. Here is one of the first pendulums of the route, and it's actually very near where there's a great picture out of one of the first ascensionists.
That's Chuck Pratt.
Talk us through the move, Bill.
Yeah.
So what's this pendulum about? How does that work?
What pendulum and Ming? Yeah, I mean, basically what you do, you get to a high point and then you've got to get to somewhere else, to one side or the other, and it's a bit blank in between, so it's a swing. It's great. It's brilliant. Love it. It's well, it is when it works, but I was unable for one reason, or well, only for one reason really. It was too short. I couldn't reach that feature, so Dominic had to take over, didn't you, Dom?
That wasn't what I was saying.
Was it not? Oh, was it not? All right.
So anyway, get to the next stands. All's good. More beer.
Different beer.
And we're approaching this big ledge system called the Big Sur.
Oh, hi, Julie. It's John. I'm just wondering if Joe managed to.
Oh, I just switched.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Mr. Wolverton off as well. Thank you, Joe.
Hi, John. See ya.
So at that point, the route starts going hard left, basically. And on the first ascent, the team had a big think there and actually went back down to regroup and muster more supplies and what have you. And similarly, we had a decision there, a bit of a conflict, because we were about half a day behind schedule. Whilst we had enough food, we didn't have a lot. We had just enough water, but we were both keen up for it, and we decided to press on.
I'd checked the beer stocks, hadn't I, Dom?
That was the key question, wasn't it? Yeah. Because once you start traversing, it then becomes more difficult to get down again. So retreat from beyond this point was going to be more complicated. Now, whilst Bill claims that he didn't do that pendulum for want of shortness, it was actually so he could get me to have a wide pitch for the first time. So here's my turn to struggle up a hideous chimney. And this one was one of those ones where you take your helmet off. It was like exactly the wrong size where you just can't get up it with the helmet on. So we've gone about 100 yards sideways here. Not easy to do with these great big 100-kilo bags. And then for a while, Bill had this suggesting that we'd head up following this route up here, which is back on Sea of Dreams again. So we almost had the same cock up a second time, but we managed not to do that.
Yeah. I didn't
instead
get
of
too
that,
far. I didn't get too far.
No. Instead, we started heading majorly left, and this is the massive corner system of the Black Dihedral. And here's Bill making more of these pendulums. So here's one, hopefully.
Yeah.
Nice one, Bill.
Oh, we got it working here.
Oh, yes. Where's that calm? Where's that calm? Oh.
Happy
Thank
days.
you.
He got there.
And relax. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, give me the next slide.
Hey.
There we go. So we've kind of come up here, if you can see the mouse cursor. Here was the Big Sur ledge up here, way over to the side.
Oh, okay, so you have to use a different system.
Oh, where's me, noisy person? There we go.
What?
Gone again.
The complete rebel.
Yeah. So there's that big surge we're talking about. We've done a couple of pendulums to get to here. Then I'd done some penduluming to get right the way over here into this big crack system up here, and then done two pitches together to get about 120 meters above Bill and about 20 meters to the side. So there is the haul bags. They've just done a great big swing to get there. And now Bill is going to have somehow to get from where he is there about 20-30 meters to where gravity wants him to be.
That's right.
So here you go.
And this is where you tie in short, Dom. Tying in short means take as much as you can in, tie it off, and then they've got a long, long loose end of rope. And then you have to get going. Yeah.
Oh, you're all right, mate.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
So, somewhat alarming. Oops.
There you go. Ah,
But you know, shaken but not stirred. We're back up
Yeah.
in the dihedral now.
have you got the picture by now, folks? I get all them crap pictures, and I get all the best jugging up to the belays.
Or it could be that I am the only person taking the photographs. That's the other possible interpretation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
North America wall.
So here we are.
Hiya, John.
We're in the black dihedral now, and so we're eating black bean soup, listening to the black
Peas,
peas.
keys,
Correct.
peas, black-eyed, whatever.
There we are. So all this zigging and zagging gets you into this great big system here called the black dihedral, and we're kind of well on our way now. 3 days in. That's the view down. Pretty spectacular. Not my feet, the view.
No.
There's Bill taking a shot of me. This was more or less our bivvy for the night. And over here, you can see these dabs of chalk. This is where the free route El Nino comes through. And you can only admire how strong some of these lads are to be climbing kind of E8-ish moves. About 1,500 foot up the wall with another 1,500 foot to go. It's quite impressive. We weren't doing that.
No.
So there's Bill up in the Black Cave, and you can see it's a pretty foreboding kind of place.
Yeah. That's a smile. Yeah, I'm so glad we had a portaledge. This is where they spent the night. I think it was a storm on its way as well, and the four of them were just like one above each other in these little, you know. Oh, it must have been horrible, horrible.
A bit more cheerful than you, though, Bill.
Well, yeah, I suppose he does actually. Yeah.
So jumping up there, the Black Cave is quite really maybe the most fun aid pitch I've ever done, because you end up traversing out about 50 foot over this cave roof to the end of the cave here, and then you work your way around the end of the cave on the outside, another kind of 100 foot sideways until you're kind of like out in space, but not much higher than when you started out, basically. It's a weird pitch. Lots of fun though.
Dominic, maybe it's a good time to explain what back cleaning is.
Back clean, yes. So like when I was doing that big traversing pitch, if I'd left all the gear in that I'd used to do the pitch, then it would have been kind of going out sideways from Bill, and he couldn't have done that penduluming business.
No.
So if you're back cleaning, what you're doing is you're taking the gear out behind you. And obviously it's a bit of a trade-off, because if you take it all out, then the rope's free, which is great, but then there's no protection. So what you're trying to do is keep yourself a bit safe just behind you, but clear the rest of the routes as you go. So on that big pendulum picture we showed you, I'd fetched out gear for 120 meters behind me as I'd gone, and just had a couple of bits at the top. And similarly, going around that big cave, I'd taken all the gear out, and Bill basically did a great big swing to in 15 seconds to do what I'd taken about an hour and a half to do, albeit 15 very exciting seconds.
It was very exciting, very safe, but it was into the air. It was great.
So now we're back out in the fresh air. Bill's next pitch, tricky to start with, on some kind of creaky flakes and dodgy placements, but then should have been steady away up here, working his way up this way. And I was sat on this stance, casually playing the rope out, and I'm not sure if I heard the scream or saw the rock fall first. But anyway, at some point I realised that Bill had decided to take on a second career in fridge surfing. And by that I mean, who remembers the Wile E. Coyote cartoons, where the Roadrunner would pull some dastardly plot, Wile E. Coyote's plan to blow him up or whatever would go wrong, and instead of blowing him up, he'd actually blow the piece of rock off that he was holding on to. Wile E. Coyote then kind of scrabble in fresh air, trying to stay aloft, whilst holding on to the 1.5 ton rock until gravity intervened and he'd go plummeting downwards. Well, I haven't got a picture of this, but that's pretty much what I imagine Bill was looking like at the time.
Yep.
But Bill, talk me through from your perspective.
Well, I was always told to pull on flakes, not pull them out. And this wasn't really a flake. No, it wasn't. It was a fridge. So as I pulled it, it kind of detached, and it was for a split second, that picture. And then I let go. I threw it away, and I just ended up on the piece of gear. Ooh, thank goodness for that. Right, that was a bit of a shocker. And then I looked down and saw that the rope, if I get this right, that's what happened to the rope when this block had just brushed it. So very quickly, I regained my composure and scrabbled up, cut 3 meters off the end of the rope, well, after retying, obviously, and then basically collapsed on a ledge, just to so I could gather my thoughts. Anyway, onwards and upwards, and the pitch got completed, and here I am.
So this is up in the Cyclops Eye. So a lot of these features on El Cap have got great names, named from viewing them from a telescope from back down in the meadow where we started off. This is a major feature, which I'll show you again in a minute on the photo. We were there in good order, kind of mid-afternoon, but after the excitement of that kind of, I won't say near-death experience, but near-death experience, we figured we'd have the rest of the afternoon off, treat ourselves to a bit of R&R, sunbathing, enjoy the view, have a brew, chill out. So that's what we did. Fantastic bivvy spot as well. It didn't make much sense to press on because we were getting into other territory where we couldn't really have a very good bivvy. So made sense to take a bit of a break. So here's this thing called the Cyclops Eye. It's really obvious on the side of El Cap, and it looks nothing really, does it? But it's about 300 foot across. This great big dish of rock, and we spent most of the next day working our way around it basically. Here's a picture of the guys on the first ascent doing it from more or less our bivvy spot really, and you head a long way sideways again, about 200 foot, and then, well, maybe 150 feet, and then next pitch is another 150 foot up. So we want those two together to get a big stretch of rope out. Here's the view back to Bill on the belay.
And guess what? It's another swing.
Another pendulum.
Whoa.
Okay, here we are at the end of the couple of pictures.
Not sure we can hear the audio there, but it's me prattling away commentating whilst I'm watching Bill. Nothing you can do as a leader, you just have to tie the rope off. So there's the bivvy spot where we were the previous day, in here somewhere.
Down below
there. Yeah.
Looking all the way down, this is El Cap Tower on the nose.
The black cradle going down.
There's Texas Flake.
Somewhere down there.
That's the bottom of the nose.
Over there, you've got the line of Mescalito.
On here, there's Mescalito.
Good things.
All the way up to the top of the nose. Here's the great roof on the nose.
On the nose. And the top out.
There's the top of our cap.
Back down.
And back down there
He's just come from.
is Bill.
Still working his way there.
Still working his way.
Yeah.
So over in the this corner system then, and we're making good time. We're kind of scenting the summit. Still quite a lot of tricky climbing. This is again another A3 pitch. I took this picture just because you get an impression of some of the bits of old junk that you're pulling on. So this was an original rivet from the 1964 ascent, and as I sat there dangling from it, it occurred to me that it was pretty much exactly the same age as I was. It must be about a 5mm diameter bit of brass banged into a hole that's probably about 10mm deep. So I thought it was worth just a kind of a picture of a smiley face and then move on quickly before we decide not to be part of the rock. And that takes you up to the last of the great bivvies on North America Wall, which is the Igloo. And here we are. Bill again is looking his cheerful self.
Yep.
Partly because we're a bit now short of water. The whole thing's taking us about half a day longer than we had hoped. So we've been rationing ourselves, being kind of gone into camel mode. So all's good. In fact, the biggest catastrophe actually at this stage was that with the water, we didn't have any tea bags to go with it. Because in careful weight pairing calculations, I've done the maths and counted the tea bags out, forgetting that there were 2 of us. Which in hindsight was, I confess, a bit of a cock-up. So we were down to dunking dried mango into the boiling water, which is a refreshing but not a great beverage to be repeated, is it really?
Could I just interject there, Dominic, and say that at this point in time, the beer supplies were doing all right, thank you.
Yeah, we still had one for the last night, but we didn't have one for the top. So yeah, all right, but not perfect. Meanwhile, a sunset brew, tired but with thoughts of the summit in sight. Bill goes off foraging, and look what he comes back with.
5 litres.
5 litres of water. We could have had a shower. Who's seen Lord of the Rings? Is that a good Gollum impression or what? Yeah. I'm just put your thumbs up if you think that's a good Gollum impression. Kind of get a bit of audience participation. Go, yeah, that is a consensus, Bill. That is, my precious. In fairness, he shared it, so can't say that. Butty's beer in this
more could you ask for?
Igloo place.
Yeah.
And we're almost there. I mean, there was a brief moment, because I get this way, that I was kind of, I think Bill could sense I had summit fever and was thinking that should we press on that last night, which would have been such a stupid idea. I can't believe it even thinking it. But anyway, it calmed me down, because we just had 2 pitches to go. The first of which was kind of a major zigzagging affair. Here's Bill kind of halfway up it. Complicated, but not ultimately absolutely desperate. Here's me following it. And then here's a picture of the top of the route, but not the top pitch. This is where the original route went. It went traversing out over here somewhere. But the modern route kind of goes up here. And I've been kind of putting it to the back of my mind for the rest of the route, but this is the pitch that gets the C4 grade. So it's the last pitch on the whole blessed route. And if you read the advertisement, it says, C4 could take a 50-foot to 80-foot fall, etc., etc. So it had been playing on my mind a little bit, and by luck of the draw, I ended up with this one.
It wasn't the luck of the draw, mate. I worked it all out.
By skillful scoping. So there are no pictures of this because my belay was on absolutely attentive focus duty. But suffice to say, all Bill's endorsements earlier of offset cams and also totem cams, if you played with those, lifesavers literally. So a few of those cam hook placements, 3 or 4 of those in a row. And obviously the thing about those is that once you're weighting them, they remain attached to the rock, hopefully. But once you stop weighting them, they're not cammed, so you're not protected by them in any way. So a few of those in a row, and then a kind of 1.5 cams kind of in totem cam, or hopefully a decent offset cam, and then a few more cam hook moves. Anyway, the job was a good one. We survived, and we were very soon on top.
That's a smile. That's a smile,
That is a smile, actually.
That is a smile.
He's not really that small. He's just been, he's just further away. Fantastic to top out. Fantastic to top out on our cap. That noise.
Soundtrack as well. Thanks, Jeff.
And what Perry mentioned is that the amazing privilege of more or less being the only people on the whole of El Cap for that whole 5-day period. We were the first people on it. There were very few other climbers out, and we certainly had the whole of that side of El Cap to ourselves for 5 days. So it's an amazing experience from that point of view.
Dominic, I missed the beginning. When was this you did it?
18 months ago.
Oh,
hey,
right.
John, how you doing?
All right, yeah. So I really enjoyed the tail end of that. It's amazing.
Cool. It's time to go down now. Those of you who've gone down off El Cap, it's an absolute pain in the arse because you're tired and stuff's heavy and what have you. So it's kind of a 3-hour struggle down of misery. But we had to get down that night because, as Bill rightly pointed out, this time we were out of beer. So there was an urgent requirement to get beer, pizza, beer. Fast. So 2 very quick, nice bits of good news at the end of it. We stumbled down into Yosemite Village. The showers there are $10 a pop. Kind of marched to the front of the queue and said, I don't suppose it's free if you just spent the last 5 days on El Cap, is it? The nice person serving said, yeah, go on, knock yourselves out. So that was the first nice thing that happened. And then we got to the pizza place, and after what seemed like interminable hours, the waiter came out and said, I'm terribly sorry, sir. We've dropped a slice for your pizza. I can either refund you or make it again. I need pizza now. Now, pizza now. I'm sorry, sir. We can either refund you or make it again.
I bet you just ate it anyway.
Well, so get your manager out. So manager comes out. No, those are the options. Then it dawned on me. If you refund us, what happens to the rest of the pizza? Oh, you can have that, sir. So we got 7/8 of a free pizza. So it was one of those kind of green lights all the way kind of ends to the trip. Not quite Tommy and Alex, but we were pretty chuffed, and we get to drink more beer. So a good session, Bill.
It was indeed. Cheers, Dom.
Cheers, mate.
Fantastic. Brilliant.
There you go.
So, any questions?
Sound like David Byrne there.
That was fantastic, guys.
First, yeah. Hey, Martin.
Yeah, can I ask a question, Dom? Can you tell us about what ropes you were using?
Did you see Bill's rope earlier? Bill's actually got
I saw it all. Yeah.
So typically they're discarded sports ropes. So normally it's like a 10mm sports rope that you've retired from sports climbing, but still got some life in it. And what we usually do is we take 2 of those. So we haul on a dynamic rope as well, because that way, if we end up slicing your lead line, you can still use it as you can use your haul rope as a lead line if you need to. And also sometimes you actually want to clip into that haul rope as a second lead line. If you're making a lot of sketchy moves off a piece that's a long way to the side, you might have that as almost like a side runner. So yeah, 2 retired sports ropes.
Yeah, and jogging up those was okay.
Yeah, it's not a problem
Yeah.
at all. Yeah, once you got the stretch out of it, it's an extra 5 meters out of 60, so it's not that big a deal at all.
Yeah, and top tip, if you're off leading the pitch and you just the guy just gives you the whole line with the pulley and everything else, and you tend to just clip it into one of your loops on your harness. After what I went through, I then started clipping that whole line straight into the strongest point of my harness. Just in case.
Can I just sorry, just ask a question?
Hi.
You didn't touch on all the very interesting part of such an expedition, where apparently you have to crap in a bag and carry it with you.
Oh, no.
That is, you know, I'm
Colin,
glad you asked that question,
no.
Colin, because whilst Tommy Alex might be at the forefront of many aspects of Bill Gore climbing, when it comes to poo management, Bill and I are world leaders.
This is where you get the term crap management, mate.
There are two strategies. So the first part of strategy we evolved, I haven't got it here, I should have the prop. It involves a kiddies foldable porta potty with disposable lined inserts. Picture the scene, if you will. Not too graphically, clearly.
Picture it on a porta ledge as well, Colin.
So, yeah, on a wobbly porta ledge, that's right, yeah. So you do the required performance in that arrangement. You carefully seal the waterproof lined vessel. That goes into, just been pointed out, I should stop sharing the screen for a minute. There we are.
There we go.
Yeah. Is that better or worse? You now got everyone to see everyone. Yeah.
Is it just me?
No? Okay. That bag then goes into another Ziploc bag. So it's double bagged. And that then goes into a 3 litre, quite tough polypro juice bottle, which is then gaffer tape closed. Now, what's the Tom Randall and Pete Whitaker? Anyone seen Pete Whitaker's big walling video?
No.
Comical. He might be an amazing climber, but he's done this first procedure I've just talked about. But then he spends about half an hour trying to take the resulting double bagged thing and squeeze it through the neck of the bottle. Yeah. This isn't how you do it.
No.
You cut a slit in the side of the bottle, tuck the offending item in there, and gaffer tape the slit. So again, Pete Whitaker might be a genius climber, but he doesn't know all the hints and tricks.
Yeah.
But even that is old school, no longer the elite way of doing it. The new approach is the what's it bloody called, Bill?
Imodium.
The Imodium trip. So I lay claim. I mean, again, Alex has done the first free solo of El Cap. People have got speed records. I lay claim to the first crapless ascent of El Cap, powered
It
only by
didn't work
Imodium.
for me. I'll tell you that.
No, it doesn't work for you, so well, does it?
It didn't work for me.
No. So I hope that's a full and complete answer, Colin, to your very interesting question. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's the same weight you're carrying, whether you keep it inside you or you put it in your rucksack or your bag.
It's not the weight that's the problem, actually, but it does, after about 5 days, the weight's the least of your concerns, to be honest.
Yeah, that gaffer tape may stick very well, but it doesn't hold the smell in, mate.
Yeah,
I tell
not
you.
so well, no.
It's not my idea of a climb, I must say, but nevertheless, very good. Okay.
More questions that aren't poop related.
Where do you can you hear me?
Hey Barry, yes, how you doing?
So where do you go to practice locally to do something like that? You know, where do you sort of get your takedown? And I do mean the aid climbing, and it's not a poop related question.
So my entire training for climbing El Cap the first time by the nose was 2 hours spent with Bill in hobby. And to be honest, with how many, a dozen years of trad climbing behind you, all how to place gear and what have you, and the rest isn't rocket science. So 2 hours in hobby, and I'll be delighted to spend that 2 hours with you. I've done it for a few people, and they've successfully done stuff on there. And the rest, the skills you've got already in your locker. Yeah. And then what you learn basically on, you can't learn at hobby. You just learn when you're on it.
Barry, I've got a different take on that, Barry. It takes decades of dedicated, really hard work, mate. It's not 2 hours and odds and more. You've got to put your apprenticeship in, mate. Yes. It's probably, I'd probably say 2.5 hours at Millstone or something like that. Yeah.
So when it's all over, Barry, we'll go down to hobby and we'll do a big wall session.
Yeah. Just another quick question. When that fire was raging in the meadow, did you think that's possibly the worst thing that could happen to climbing ever then? And do you still agree now?
Well, nice one, the irony is, Bill Oughton is saying that he's of a certain vintage whereby he's currently self-isolating, and a year and a half ago we were self-isolating on El Cap and we're doing fine there, wouldn't we? But
yeah, I know what you mean.
Can I ask about water? It looked quite. How much water did you have to carry, and how thirsty were you?
So we were there.
You're talking about water, Rachel, or thirst?
Water. That's what I'm talking about.
We were there at the end of August, and temperatures were about kind of in the hundreds, just touching 100, so about 40 centigrade. So that makes quite a big influence on how much water you take. So we went for, I think, 3 litres a day each for those temperatures. Later on in the year, we've perhaps gone with 2.5. Then we ended up a day longer on the route than we planned as well. So, as you go, you kind of gradually hone down the consumption to match what you've got, basically, and then hope you get lucky and find some like Gollum here.
Like we did, yeah.
I enjoyed your bit about surfing the rock there, Bill. Just as well, there was no one behind you. There would have been a bit of a goner.
It was into fresh air, Martin. It's a steep place. It's not very slabby up there for most of the time. Unfortunately, I guess it's going to end up somewhere, and I take comfort from the fact that because it was just after the fire, there was absolutely nobody else near the place, so I had other things to think about at the time.
Was that a bottle of water? Was it actually sealed, or was it being fed from like a dribble, or?
Oh, it was not. Sorry, it was a sealed bottle. Yeah. Very often, what happens is you'll find that the people who left that probably had about 15, 30 gallons with them and had a real epic pulling it all up and decided they'd leave some for somebody. I mean, I've done the same at the top. I've left some bottles and actually written on the date that I'd left them. So people would know it was sweet water. I have actually opened some bottles which I thought were water. And they weren't.
You've never left any beer up there?
That is a prize for the most stupid question I've ever heard in my life. Any more questions, folks?
Yeah, one from me, Dominic.
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yeah.
Hi, John.
Hey, fantastic talk, by the way, both of you. Fantastic talk. Really well set up. Jan and I have really enjoyed it, so thanks for that. Anyway, the question I've got is, did you see any creatures up there, like birds or reptiles or anything?
just Gollum, I think, on this trip.
Yeah. I must admit, John, not on this trip, but on previous trips, I've been amazed to find a little gecko. You know, like it's living in this sea of granite, and you think, how the hell are you surviving, mate? You know, but there must be something. And of course, don't forget, I mean, El Cap is a 12-month cliff, so it'll get somewhere. It'll get some moisture. There'll be some vegetation somewhere.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've not seen anything else apart from that, other than, got to say, a hummingbird. Yeah,
Oh, very good.
Hummingbird.
Amazing.
That's all. Yeah, nothing else.
No plants hanging around. Too steep.
Too steep.
Yeah.
Too
Hey,
steep.
great. Hey, look, thanks for putting it on, you two.
Don't thank me, thank him.
Don't go yet.
Don't go yet.
Any more questions, folks?
Yeah, was there much, if any, by way of free moves?
Oh, yeah.
Only where it's absolutely mandatory. There's nothing else to put on. No, this is, and this doesn't particularly lend itself anyway. I think the easiest climbing is kind of into the 10, 11s really. So yeah, E4 and above. But you're just not in the mood. I mean, once you start pulling on gear, even like a few days afterwards, so we've come down from these routes and think, oh, let's get on something. We've got a few more days. But your free climbing head is completely and utterly gone because, it's just a different mentality altogether. And you cut it down with all this crud and weight. And so obviously the fast lads do move between free and aid. I think they're much more kind of French freeing the aid rather than with etriers and stuff. So yeah, when I go back and do the nose in 24 hours with Jake sometime, then we'll probably be doing a bit more free climbing. But no, for the most part, it's keep pulling.
Well, fantastic effort. Really enjoyed the talk. Superb.
Okay, so I'll move on a little bit because we're not quite done yet. So stay with us. So I'll go back to the magic screen again. So.
Go. How do you do all that from the meadows, Dom? It's amazing. You there? Can you hear me, Major Dom?
Oh no.
No.
Were you getting that? We'll start again.
Pictures ever to reach.
No, that's not no.
Hello.
We have just seen rushes direct from Hollywood of pictures being released in the coming weeks. And we're proud to announce that this theater will soon bring you the greatest array of pictures ever to reach our screen. You see the finest stars in exciting performances. You will thrill to the suspense, comedy, romance, and drama of world stories.
Here we go.
Here's a glimpse of a few of them coming to this theater soon.
Did you get that? That was a bit of a...
Yeah, brilliant.
Oh, there we go.
Very good.
Very good indeed, because it doesn't stop there. So this is a bit of an experiment, and I had no idea if people would rock up, if the technology would work, or whatever. But we've got 120 odd people turned up, and hopefully you've enjoyed an hour or so of entertainment. So I've recruited on your behalf the next couple of acts. So the suggestion is that we see how we go with making this a bit of a weekly social. The Rucksack Club has been going for 115 years, whatever. Hopefully it's going to take a bit more than a virus to put us in stopping our tracks. So hopefully a bit of a way of trying to keep a bit of the community going and a bit of sense of the team, as it were. So Joe and his mate Andy have very kindly volunteered to do us a few slides next week on a Scottish Odyssey, there and back. Travels through a fantastic summer, I think 2 years ago, Joe? He's there somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Nice one, Joe.
So exciting, looking forward to that. And then also straight from Hollywood, no expense spared, the week after, Will's going to share some of his experiences expeditioning on various continents and with various preposterous nose guards.
That's Wurzel Gummidge, that. It's not Will Harris.
It could well be. It could well be. And then beyond that, well, what about a members' slides night? You've all got great pictures. Why don't we share a few pictures and have a chat and see stuff we've done? So that's how it works. If we get bored, we'll bin it. But for me, anyway, it's been fantastic to be with so many friends tonight, even if it's virtually. Oh, wait a minute. Who's that entering the meeting? Someone's come a bit late to the session. Nick Wallace.
Nick Wallace.
This is your birthday. Nick,
Happy birthday, Nick.
I hope you're still there.
Hello.
Are you there somewhere?
Cheers, Tom.
If you're not, you've spoiled the surprise. Where are you?
I saw him.
Yeah.
There he is.
There he
is.
Thank you very much.
Happy birthday, Nick.
Cheers, Bill.
Happy birthday, Nick.
Happy birthday, Nick.
Thank you, Johnny.
Dominic, it's Gordon here.
Hey there.
Can you hear me, Gordon?
I certainly can, Gordon, yes.
I missed the start because I had to play around with sound. Where are you physically? You're not actually in Yosemite, are you, with that picture?
Of course I am.
You are? I'm most impressed. I'm most impressed with the whole thing.
Meadow, Gordon.
Pardon?
That's El Capitan Meadow, that.
No, it was very good of the club to foot the bill to take me there. I thought I was above and beyond, to be honest. I expected a couple of beers, but no, sadly not. It's the magic of this Zoom thing. You can put amazing backgrounds on.
You just put the background on it.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, very good show. Thanks very much.
You may or may not appreciate this, but some of the chaps have got a few Nick photos together for us to share on this 50th birthday. So I think that one was that North Face of the Eiger?
It might be, yes.
I think that one was.
Is he only 50?
I know. So
It's about time.
Is he even 50? I think is what you meant, Bill, surely.
Oh, yeah.
Others can help with titles here, but somewhere cold and snowy.
Scotland.
0.5, I think.
Yeah, it's got to be Scotland, that.
That's easy.
Young chap.
Yeah, South Stack.
South Stack.
Well done.
I mean Castle Allen. I don't mean South Stack.
You can't blame me for these. These aren't my fault. That one's my fault. That was a very early Go-Garth meet.
Oh yeah, that's in the canoe club, isn't it?
Yeah, table wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Going around the table.
Yeah, it's the table one.
Very good. Very good.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, nice Chamonix picture.
Oh, a bit of the fountain.
Oh, is it? Yes. Yeah. I
Yeah,
recognise
that's on
that,
the priest.
Shelter Stone.
Shelter Stone, yeah, definitely.
Shelter Stone, yeah.
Sweet, Billy.
Blimey.
Vanishing Gully.
Thingy Gap. Something Gap.
Something Gap.
Something Gap. Or is it next?
I have no idea.
I'll tell you in a, I've got a prompt list here. I'll tell you in a minute.
Deep cut chimney.
Deep cut chimney, yeah, Hell's Lum, deep cut chimney.
Hell's Lum, that's what I meant, yeah. Well done.
Oh my word.
Somewhere at Millstone.
That was exactly, that's the short walling tryout. And there we are.
There you go.
Oh no.
Oh, that's painful.
It's obviously a story there somewhere.
That's when someone nicked his skis.
Best fish and chips in the world.
Getting back from Lundy, that was.
Ah,
advertising your Rucksack Cup calendar. Very
That's
good.
a nice cover.
Okay.
That's brilliant.
That is all, folks.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
birthday to you.
Happy
birthday, dear Nick. Happy birthday to you. Now wash your hands.
Cheers, Nick. Happy birthday.
Cheers, Stan. Thank you very
Hey,
much.
get that man signed up to the Rucksack Club. Stan
Oh,
Holstead.
there he is. He's in.
Stan, you have to sign the standing order.
Thanks very much, Dom and Co. Great evening.
Well done, putting it
Thank
together.
you all for coming. Brilliant. And see you next
Absolutely
week.
superb.
John, one more thing.
See you, lad.
Oh, wait. We have an advert. So we have
Yeah, one more thing. Hey guys and girls, in these difficult times, you may well have thought that I was wearing this ridiculous hat for fun, but I'm not. You can't. I don't think you can see it. Can you see it?
Yeah, you can see it. It is ridiculous.
There's a little business in Marple. There's three guys called Ben, Rich, and James. They're called Psyche, PSYCHI.com. Selling loads of great gear, and it's not. This thing hasn't come at a really great time for them. Just check the website out. It's got some really nice stuff. Thank you very much.
Good evening, folks. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, Dom.
Thank you, Dom. Well done. Thanks, Bill.
See you
next one.
Thanks, Dom.
Cheers to you all.
Good
Cheers,
night,
Dom.
all. Take care.
Cheers.
It's nice and
Good
cheap.
out.
There we go.
Thanks, Dom. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay,
All right, guys.
bye bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
See you
Hey,
guys.
guys. Didn't see
Hello,
you there.
guys. See you
Thanks,
guys.
Bill. Thanks, Dom.
Thanks, guys.
Please.
Hi, Bill. Hi,
See
Bill.
you.
See you next week.
Yes.
Good day, everyone.
Au revoir.
Stay safe, people.
Oh, thank you, Jamie.
Be careful, and if you can't be careful, don't get caught.
Exactly. Bye,
There
guys.
you go.
Cheers, Dom. See ya. See you,
See you
Bill.
later.
Good, mate.
Cheers.
Hey, see you, Stan.